Hello everybody, it's October 13th, 2020. This is a Scott 299C. It's been in my family since the day it was purchased, brand new. The 299C is a higher powered version of the 299B. On the B, the tubes were in front of the transformers, but the tubes were smaller on the B. When Scott went to the C, my feeling is they didn't want to do a lot of sheet metal changes, so they just made bigger holes for the octal sockets and kept the tubes in the same place. And that probably saved time to get the higher powered 299C out into the marketplace, which was very competitive back in the late 50s, early 60s. So, now, these things never had a problem with heating and things like that, especially when they're used in an open environment like this without an enclosure on it. But I've always toyed with the idea of making an offset adapter to move the tubes a little bit forward. But then I figured I want a simpler way of doing it that will raise the tubes very high, and my tubes will be flying high above the 299C to keep the heat from the tubes away from the output transformers, because heat kills everything in any type of electronics. So I'm just going to, what I did was I purchased, these are octal tube socket adapters, and they're about 1 inch high. So if you put two together, you have 2 inches. So I bought 10 of them. I'm going to basically add 2 to each 7591. And also, look how close the 5AR4 tube is to that transformer. Wow! So you could see that these tubes are definitely heating up these transformers. Now, Scott transformers are very conservatively rated and do not have an overheating problem. But I'm just going to play around with this idea. This will not cause any performance issues in any way. As you know, that tubes use high voltages but very low current. So using adapters to raise the tubes is not going to cause any issues. So it's basically a safe way to get the heat away from the transformers. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to solder. So like I said, I did toy with an idea of making an offset socket to bring the tubes forward and keep them at the same, almost the same height. If you were using an enclosure, they would still fit. But this is just a lazy way of doing it, and I can get some quick results. I'm going to take some measurements of the transformers to see if there's any significant difference in their temperature. So that's that. I'll be doing a second part to this video, and with some measurements, so we could see how much cooler the transformers are running with the tubes raised. Now, if you use an enclosure, you probably can't do this because, you know, there's not going to be any room. But see, I have a shelf up here, so it's enough distance to raise the tubes a few inches, and they'll be flying high. So I call it my flying high 299C. And now if you have the D, the tubes are behind the transformers. But you can, if you want to see your tubes, you can actually do the same modification and buy the tube socket savers, and this way your tubes will be above the transformers. You'll be able to see them on the 299D. The 299D, the tubes are far away from the transformer, so you really don't need this modification. So the same holds true for the LK72 and the LK72B. You can do the same thing to those. Okay. Stand by for part 2 in I don't know, a couple of days, maybe a few hours, I'm not sure. Okay, bye. Okay, let the temperature readings begin. The amp is on in its stock configuration, and I'm recording some temperatures. Okay, everybody, Here are my final readings. After 2 hours and 15 minutes, I took readings at every 15 minutes. So these temperatures represent a stock setup with the tubes, you know, at their proper height. And these are the readings. Tomorrow I will raise the tubes by 2 inches and we'll take more readings. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm just holding this on here steady so you can either pause it or take a screenshot of the readings. Once again, the tubes are at the stock height, and these readings are with the amp at idle, no music playing, volume set at 0, all the controls centered, and these are the readings. Oh, my light just turned off, but you could still see them. Okay, I'm going to add the high heels there on the tubes. We'll raise the tubes 2 inches, and then we'll take these readings tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll get to do this tomorrow night. Have a good night, everybody. Okay, I plugged all the adapters together, so there's the 2 inches of height. By the way, don't put a tube in one of these and then try to plug it into the other bottom one, because it was really hard to get these. I had to like press down on them on a hard surface, because these are very tight, and you're talking 8 pins going in there. So make sure you put these together first. Then I would say pop these in the amplifier and then pop your tubes in the top of these. That's probably the safest way to do it. Okay, everyone, I have to say that was fun. Took me about 10 minutes. And here's what you're looking at. The tubes are significantly higher than stock. You can see the double basses in there, even on the rectifier. And yes, I know the fourth 7591 is different from the other three, but it's matched. One of my Scott ones was reading pretty low, so I replaced it. This is an international. Seems to be sounding good, so I'll leave it in there for a while. Okay, so right now I'm just going to listen to the amp, but tomorrow I'll continue with the readings, because it's still, everything's still a little warm here, so I don't want to be up all night with this, but I'll continue with the readings, the temperature readings, and we'll see if doing this actually transformers running cooler. Okay, have a good night, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's day 2 of making transformer temperature measurements. As you can see, the tubes are 2 inches higher than normal. So I'm hoping that all the heat will just dissipate into the air and stay away from the transformers, and they'll run a lot cooler. So this is what it looks like, and I already started taking the readings. I'm taking the temperature readings every 15 minutes, so we'll see if this has any merit to do this. You know, if it keeps the transformers cooler, it's worth it. And not only will it keep the transformers cooler, it will keep the tubes themselves cooler, because they're getting a lot more convection. And it'll keep the capacitors cooler, because the tubes are no longer at the same height. So, you know, obviously you can't do something like this if you have children, small children, or pets, or, you know, kittens who might jump onto these tubes and destroy everything. You know, so this is very dangerous. So this is how much height I have. There's the upper shelf, a few inches in between. And so I'll share the measurements with you as soon as they're done. I'm going to let this run for about 2 hours. You know, no signal. The volume set to 0, bass and treble flat. On the extra input on the selector. And so these are the conditions. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, everybody, here are the final results. Definitely a big difference in the temperature at the front of the transformers, which we expected because that's typically where the tube sits, right next to the transformer. So when the tube is lifted up 2 inches, you don't have the tube sitting right next to the laminates of the transformer. And so you definitely can see a big difference in the T-rise of the transformers going from the stock setup to the modified setup. And also these are the temperatures of my tubes after 135 minutes. These results are kind of funny. You're probably wondering why. I do have my right tubes biased a little bit cooler than my left ones. So that might account for the difference in the tube temperature measured at the side of the glass. So, you know, take away what you will from these results. It was just a fun experiment. I'll probably leave the adapters in. It looks good. And it's definitely keeping things running a little bit cooler. So I hope this experiment helped you just to get a feel for how hot these components actually get in the stock form for 299C and in the modified form, raising up the 7591 tubes and the 5AR4 tubes. These are great amplifiers. I don't really think they need any modifications, but this was just a fun experiment that I wanted to do to my 299C. So I'll probably leave it this way and listen to it. It sounds great. This does not detract from the sound quality at all, and it'll make the many parts of the amp run a little bit cooler. And also keep in mind, Celsius degrees are a lot bigger than Fahrenheit degrees. So if you want to convert these to Fahrenheit, just multiply the Celsius number times 1.8 and then add 32, and then you'll get your Fahrenheit degrees. So it's really 9/5 C, 9/5 times C, and then you add 32. Then you'll get Fahrenheit. Okay, thanks for watching this video. Happy listening.